Good everyone, here is the latest video update on Typhoon Jelawat on this Sunday afternoon. The other tropical cyclone that we've been watching the past few days, Tropical Storm Irene, is now transitioned in extratropical cyclone and is moving across the northern Pacific well away from any land. Both JMA and the Joint Typhoon Warning Center have given their final warnings for that system, so we are no longer tracking Irene. Again, we still have Typhoon Jelawat. It's now made landfall here in Honshu along the Kii Peninsula according to JMA at around 12 p.m. Japan time. Joint Typhoon Warning Center, however, have their track slightly to the east, so for them the system has not made landfall in the Kii Peninsula but rather moving into the Mie and Aichi prefectures here in the border of the Kansai and Chubu regions. There are lots of places around here. So anyway, the last location was approximately 280 kilometers west-southwest of Tokyo. Maximum sustained winds are down to 130 kilometers per hour with gusts of up to 185 kilometers per hour, but still typhoon according to JMA. Joint Typhoon Warning Center though has downgraded this to a tropical storm with sustained winds around 110, so slight differences here. Moving northeastward at 45 kilometers per hour, so has accelerated greatly, moving at a very fast speed, 45 kilometers per hour. Looking at the latest visible image, system does seem to be looking much weaker now. Definitely the southern half of the circulation almost devoid of any convection, some drier air wrapping in from the northwest. And also again, much of the convection is now located along the northern side of the circulation, also that strong upper level winds shearing that convection to the north and northeast, bringing also spreading also the coverage of heavy rainfalls here. Looking at the infrared image, showing you still some convection along the center of the storm, along the northern periphery, and also that shearing occurring right now in the system. As you can see here, as you can deduce, definitely seeing widespread rains across much of Honshu throughout the day today. In fact, some stations are already beginning to report nearly 300 millimeters of rain in the past 12 hours alone, especially here along the Kii Peninsula. Even some stations recording as high as 60 millimeters in an hour, so giving an idea how heavy rain that is. And with that said, we have a ton of warnings being put up by JMA. Looking at their latest warning page here, the red obviously is the warnings, and yellow are the advisories. Warnings anywhere from heavy rains to flood to storm to even high waves warning. So you can check their website. It's the JMA. We have our link below the description for more details on this warnings. Jelawat made landfall actually in Okinawa yesterday, moved across the Ryukyu Islands of up to 200 kilometers per hour. Obviously it has weakened as it makes landfall here in Honshu. Speaking of the Ryukyus, we have some eyewitness reports. We have videos and images being sent to us. If you check out our post at westernpacificweather.com, even Robert Speta even doing some videos on a video report on the damage that has been seen across Okinawa and the nearby islands. We even have some videos being sent to us through email, and this is from Dan Jerome. You can see the roof of this building been torn apart with strong winds. You can check out more of his videos. We'll leave a link below in our description page, but thanks for Dan for that video. On to the radar here as Jelawat makes landfall. You can see those widespread rains definitely being picked up, and even some clusters of very heavy rain, even capable of producing more than 80 millimeters of rain in an hour, and definitely adding up those totals as we head into the evening hours tonight and especially into tomorrow. You probably see as high as 500 millimeters, especially along the mountainous areas, being lifted, being helped by the orographic effects of the region. Also, the winds being seen here are not as strong as compared to Ryukyus, but can still do damage. We haven't seen of any typhoon sustained just yet, though. Most of the sustained winds we're seeing are around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. Some stations have gusted to more than 140 kilometers, so still some typhoon force winds being experienced across much of Honshu, and those winds will continued to move northeastward along with the system and eventually affecting parts of Chubu and Kanto region, and even parts of Tokyo could see some winds of up to 60 kilometers per hour later this evening. And also those strong, those high waves as the system continues to move northeastward, those counterclockwise flows, so bringing those high waves from the southwest to the northeast, could also see some threats for storm surges in and along this base along the southern part of Honshu. Again, as you can see, this latest 24-hour forecast from JMA forecasting system to move quickly to the northeast, passing roughly around 100-200 kilometers northwest of Tokyo later this evening, and then moving into the Tohoku region, perhaps exiting into the northern Pacific early tomorrow morning and passing south of Hokkaido. Also, if you look at the latest JTWC forecast, showing the same thing here, but as you can see here, when it points something here, you can see JMA actually taking Jelawat into Kii Peninsula. If you take a look at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's track, taking just southeast. So for them, the system has not made landfall in Kii, but instead it will make landfall here along the eastern portions of the Kii Peninsula. So some differences here, but overall the forecast remains nearly the same, passing northwest of Tokyo and exiting into the northern Pacific early Monday morning, staying as a tropical storm throughout, but could transition in an extratropical cyclone by late Monday evening or perhaps Tuesday morning as it passes south of the Kuril Islands here in the northern Pacific. And to keep in mind here, even though Jelawat may be weakening drastically as it moves on shore, still be aware of the possibility of heavy rains that will be moving across the southeastern, eventually into the northern parts of Honshu. So even for Tokyo, you could still see some heavy rains and heavy downpours, and also the threat for strong winds later in the next few hours here. But that is the update for Jelawat. Move on to the other low pressure areas that we've been watching the past 2 days. First, we begin with Invest 94W. I do want to note that the JME has actually upgraded this to a tropical depression already. This was last located approximately 400 kilometers east of the Marianas Islands, roughly 450 kilometers east-northeast of Guam. You can see in this latest visible image the expansive system is. Actually looks more like a monsoon depression than a full-blown tropical cyclone, but nevertheless showing that cyclonic circulation visible, and also showing actually good radial outflow. There's an anticyclone overhead the system providing weak wind shear, and also again poleward and equatorward outflow, helping the system to ventilate due to the overall size of the system. And also, if you look at the infrared image, much of the convection is still rather sparse but very strong in some of these sections here. In fact, we are seeing a batch of heavy rains moving into Guam right now. But again, overall the system, due to its size and the rather sparse appearance of the convective activity, it still take time to consolidate, perhaps become a tropical storm in the next 2 to 3 days. Joint Typhoon Warning Center has also issued a high chance or a tropical cyclone formation alert for the system, so definitely getting its act together. But in terms of intensification and consolidation, it will take its time. Now, as for the forecast, the system will continue to move northwestward. You can see the latest 24-hour forecast from JMA, passing north of Guam, north of Saipan, but still affecting these islands either way in terms of heavy rains and also strong southwesterly winds. These islands are very much exposed, so still some very significant threat, even though it is a weak cyclone at this time. Now, looking at the forecast tracks from the computer models, these match of lines is where the computer models are forecasting 94W to go. As you can see, still some very large discrepancies here. Some models take it to the north, some of them actually take 94W towards the west, so something still to be watched here, even though the system is moving in the middle of the Pacific. Now finally, we have Invest 95W, and this one is in the middle of the South China Sea, the West Philippine Sea, roughly located 300 kilometers east of Vietnam, west of the Philippines here. As he's still rather weak at this point, showing an elongated infrared convective activity seen on the infrared. Although there is a close low-level circulation center and improving at that, we're also starting to see some good outflow to the north, improving outflow to the north, I should say. System lies in an area of weak wind shear and also warm waters across the South China Sea, so still very much in an area that is conducive for tropical cyclone development. In fact, that system, which is embedded along the monsoon trough here in this region, is bringing some rain showers across Luzon. Some areas are reporting 30 millimeters in the past 12 to 24 hours. Now, again, showing you the low-level circulation center. This is the scatterometer pass satellite analysis. Looks into the waves and analyze waves and deduce the wind speeds. And you can see a clear low-level circulation there being picked up by the satellite earlier this morning. Even seeing some winds of up to 30 knots, or around 50-60 kilometers per hour. Sign of the system started to consolidate. As with 94W, Invest 95 is now a tropical depression according to JMA. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center has upgraded this to medium, but it's not expected to develop in the next 24 hours. So continue to watch the system, although if you look at the computer models, they are split. Split. Some of them take this to the west, towards Vietnam. Some take the system to the east, potentially impacting the Philippines the next 2 to 3 days. But for right now, the system will meander across the South China Sea. In fact, if you look at the latest forecast from JMA, moving very little to the north, staying in this region for perhaps another 2 to 3 days, and perhaps by early part of next week, once the system fully develops, we expect the computer models to start getting a better handling on the system, and perhaps start showing a better forecast. For right now, it's still split, and we'll continue to keep an eye out on the system on whether it develops and where it will actually go. Before I end the video update, I just want to show you this animated infrared image from the Naval Research Lab, and showing the locations of the tropical cyclones that we've been watching. First is Jelawat, again moving into Japan quickly to the northeast. Here we have 94W, and perhaps this image gives you a better idea of how big this system actually is. That could actually become a deterrent in terms of development. Will probably, as I said before, takes its time before becoming a really strong cyclone, but already impacting parts of the Marianas and more importantly Guam here. Now to the west, here in the South China Sea, the West Philippine Sea, is Invest 95W, rotating and circulating, and also embedded along the monsoon trough. It is currently affecting parts of Luzon here in the Philippines. Also, again, I just want to note here, both of the systems are now being classified by JMA's tropical depressions. Joint Typhoon Warning Center yet to upgrade either one of them. But again, just looking at this image shows how active the Western Pacific is as we move into the latter part of the year. We move into October now, so we start to see those still seeing this basin fully active. Ends our video update for today. Continue to check out the JMA, especially as now Jelawat moves onshore into Honshu. Latest radar images and also warnings and forecasts in and around the country there, and also Pagasa for the latest forecast across the Philippines for any rainfall alerts there as well. If you have your own videos or images as Jelawat moves across Japan today, please email them to philippineweather@yahoo.com, and also to our meteorologist Robert Speta at westernpacificweather.com, and also visit that site for more in-depth updates on both of these, on Jelawat and also the tropical the low pressure areas that we've been watching, and also for the tube casts being made by Robert Speta. Stay safe, guys. Bye.